ignore me, and if you just go with what
Right.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe.
So I'll ask the first question to you, Jane. But if you think, oh no, John should answer this, we won't run it all together as one big thing. So yeah.
Just alert me if you're going to swap or whichever one's going to.
All right. So we're on you at the moment. Yeah, we'll just get some shots of you both chatting about your upcoming trip.
Oh.
So why were you booking the flights to Singapore?
Oh, well, to go and visit our son, who's living in Singapore at the moment. He's been out there for the last 5 years, so we've used Singapore Airlines for the last 4 years, or 3 years to get out there.
3 years, yes.
Yeah, so...
Do we need to close the door, Jane?
Oh, that would help.
I can just hear the... We'll just do that one again. So why were you booking the tickets to Singapore?
Well, we booked the tickets to go and see our son, Nick, who's living in Singapore. He's been out there for the last 5 years. So we've flown with Singapore Airlines 3 times now. This will be our 4th occasion.
And in those previous trips that you've done, have you been saving up air miles?
Yes, indeed we have. Yes, every time we go away, and also with Virgin that amalgamate the air miles together. So we've been building up our air miles as the last 3 years have gone on.
And have you been saving up those air miles thinking, oh, we're going to have the opportunity to spend them on something big?
Yes, yes, we've been, waiting to get our free flight, to build up the air miles. But the problem is that you have to, you can't just use some of the air miles.
That's all right.
Okay, you'll be able to cut that out.
we can go back over anything at all. Just don't worry at all.
That's right.
So you were sort of saving them up for a big trip.
Yes, we were waiting to build them up so that we could use them for a whole flight. But Singapore Airlines sent a letter through towards the end of last year, I think it was, saying that you needed to make use of the air miles after sort of 2 or 3 years, otherwise you lose them if you don't use them. So that was the prime reason for us actually then deciding that we'd use them on this flight out to Singapore.
And is it your son's birthday?
It is.
But do you not want to mention that?
Oh, no, that's right. Okay, no. He's expecting us to be out there, yes.
Yeah, so just this is an important trip because you're going for a birthday. And it will cut me out as if I was never here. So if you just answer the questions as if you just say yes, they won't hear my question.
Right.
So
you want me to carry on sort of
this is always difficult. If you try and include my question in your answer.
Right.
So if I say, why were you going out to Singapore?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, we were going to Singapore for our son's birthday.
Right.
But don't worry, I should have said that before we started. But if you just say yes, which is like perfectly natural, then they won't hear me, so like what you're saying yes to.
Yes to.
So,
okay.
all that. So why are you going out to Singapore?
Right, we're going out to Singapore in July to go and visit our son because it's his 30th birthday. So we decided, he's been working out there for the last 5 years, and this is our 4th trip out to Singapore in the summer holidays, just to go and visit him.
That was absolutely perfect. Just, are you ready?
Yeah.
This might go out after July, so could I ask for just without July? Sorry to be annoying.
That's right. That's right. It's good fun, isn't it? I can feel myself getting hotter and hotter.
No, don't feel like that. So why are you going out to Singapore?
Well, we go out to Singapore every year to visit our son, who's been out there for the last 5 years. It's his 30th birthday this year, so it's an especially interesting time to go out there and see him. Exciting. And yeah, I'm just now thinking what other questions we need to ask to incorporate that you've had to use. Did I say July then?
No.
I didn't say July. It was perfect. That was me. So the reason that you have your hand was forced to use the miles on this occasion was you have to use the miles this year. Is that right?
Well, again, that is correct, isn't it? What I'm saying.
Yes, there are. Yeah. We got the correspondence from them, and you've got to actually maintain your.
Sorry, that's my fault. Sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble with the sound. Wait a sec. So, we're back in again.
That was good. And I had a chance to crispy as well, happy.
Yes.
Are you ready to get done? So, can you tell me why were you booking the tickets?
We go to Singapore every year to visit our son out in Singapore, and so we book the tickets through Singapore Airlines because they're usually such an excellent airline. I mean, we love flying with them. The service is amazing. It's really, really good.
And how many times have you flown with them before?
We've flown with Singapore Airlines 3 times before, and as I say, it's just an amazing sort of trip that we have. They're usually so good. So, and we sort of have our trust and faith in them, really. We didn't really expect that there would be any problems in booking tickets.
And in the flights that you've taken in the past, have you been saving up air miles for that?
We use the air miles. We save air miles every time we go out, with the intention, obviously, of going out on a sort of a free flight once every few years. And so we've accumulated about 30,000 air miles up until this point. We need about 60,000 to get out to Singapore.
And have you ever been able to redeem the miles that you've collected for a free flight in the past? Or
we haven't used the air miles before because obviously we need so many to get out to Singapore. So we've just thought we would just carry on collecting the air miles until we had enough to have a free flight out there. But Singapore Airlines sent an email just before Christmas, I think it was, saying that we really needed to use the air miles up. If we didn't, then we'd lose them. So we thought, right, this is the trip that we need to use the air miles up so that we don't lose them.
And why in particular Singapore? Why have you picked to go there?
We love Singapore. We've been there 3 times before, but because our son's out there, he flies with another airline out in Singapore.
I just moved something, sorry. Would you mind starting that answer again?
That's okay. Right. Say the question again.
Yeah. So what's the special occasion? Why are you going to Singapore?
Well, we're going out to visit our son because it's going to be his 30th birthday. He's been living out there for the last 5 years. So, yeah, we're really excited about going out to visit him.
Amazing. So why did you... So you've already answered that one. So can you just take me through the process of booking the tickets?
Right. So we got Christmas out of the way. Thought, right, beginning of January, we must book the tickets. We went onto the website, as we do. We often book airline tickets through various airline websites, so it's fairly normal for us to do that. I had a look at the price of the tickets, and it was going to be just over £800 per person to get out there, which is a reasonable amount of money. It's what we normally would expect to pay. So from there, we decided, well, we're going to use our air miles, so we clicked on to purchase the ticket. And what happens is you can't just exchange or take off the air miles and pay the outstanding amount.
It'll be for your airline. It'd be easy if you just keep looking directly at me.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm like, just so that we can cut together your different answers.
Okay, that's right.
So you went online, and what happened then?
Yeah, we went online to book the tickets. Came up as £800, which is the sort of price that we were expecting it to be. So the next thing was we went on to the next step and said that we wanted to use our air miles. So we thought probably it would come out about £400 or £500 because we had about 50% of the journey to cover in air miles. You can't just take off the air miles and pay the outstanding balance. The way that Singapore Airlines do it is that you have to buy the remaining air miles and then you get a free ticket. So we thought, well, that's fair enough, that's okay. Carried on and did that and purchased the air miles that we needed to give us a completely free flight. And the cost on the screen, it seemed to be about £600. And we thought, well, that's fair enough, isn't it? You know, it should have been £800. We've made about a £200 saving. So we thought, well, that's okay. Just went ahead and booked it. And as far as we were concerned, we'd paid just over £600 for the tickets instead of paying the £800 that was showing on the website originally.
And that was the last you booked the tickets and you're like, right, we're going.
Yeah, we're off and away. But unfortunately, once we received our credit card statement, we found out actually we hadn't paid £600 for each ticket. It was £1,070 on the credit card statement. So we were a little bit shocked.
And what was your reaction? Did you think there's obviously been a mistake? What was your first reaction when you saw it?
Our first reaction was, yes, there must have been a mistake. So we contacted Singapore Airlines. And that's when the problem started, really, because they said, oh, no, everything's correct. What we had done was we had purchased the air miles, but we purchased each air mile at $40 a time. And so what we'd seen on the website was the cost of purchasing the ticket. We hadn't realised that there was going to be an additional £500, which was on their taxes and all the other charges, the airport charges and things. So it ended up that because we'd paid $40 per air mile, that's the reason why the ticket ended up being £1,070 instead of, if we just purchased a ticket without using any air miles at all, it would have been just over 800.
And when you had that conversation with Singapore Airlines, you came off the phone, what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, we were really shocked because Singapore Airlines, always very, very polite and always very helpful, but all they kept saying was, well, you need to refer to the small print because it clearly says in the small print that to purchase the air miles it would be costing you $40 per air mile. And we
Is
just...
it per 1,000? They said per 1,000 miles, $40 per 1,000 miles?
Is it, or is it a block of block of 1,000? I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
right, okay.
No,
so,
that's all right. So just...
So-
you came off the phone and what did you think?
well, we just couldn't believe it because I must admit, we didn't perhaps look as closely as we should have done because we automatically assumed that if we were contributing 50% of the flight in air miles, we stupidly assumed that the price of the ticket would actually be lower than if we were buying a ticket without using any air miles. And so that's just what we were expecting it to be.
Did you presume that it would be impossible you shouldn't be allowed within the website to buy if it was going to cost you more?
Absolutely. I mean, at no time did we see anything that was apparent on the website that said that it was actually going to cost more. We didn't ever see the price of 1,070 coming up on the screen in front of us. Otherwise, if it had, we wouldn't have gone ahead with it. Well, you certainly wouldn't go ahead with it if it's going to cost you more money and using your air miles than just booking a normal flight.
And the situation you're in now, you've got the £1,070 flight, but how many air miles have you got now?
0.
So when we cut out, so if you can say we've now got 0 air miles.
Okay.
So how many air miles have you got now?
We've got absolutely 0 air miles now.
And how does that make you feel?
I'm just amazed that it's happened, really. I can't believe, that we didn't realise and that we didn't see that. But certainly there was just nowhere that we saw on the screen that was going to be the final cost. It's just so odd that we've spent out more money. We have no air miles left for a ticket that we could have just spent £800 on and still had 30,000 air miles on our account.
Fantastic, you're a star. Oh, when you made the phone call to Singapore Airlines, what did you want them to do? What was your ideal?
Really, we just wanted the flight at £800. I mean, even if it actually meant losing the air miles, which again, we felt was a little bit unfair, but we would have been quite happy to have for them to have said, right, okay, you've lost your air miles, but we'll give you the flight at £800. But they didn't say that. They said that the only alternative we had was we could cancel the flight and it would have cost about £15, which wasn't a problem. But we would have to sell. Or we couldn't. No, not that we couldn't sell. We couldn't buy the air, or we couldn't sell the air miles back. So we would have then had sort of 60,000 air miles on our account as opposed to. I don't think that's right actually.
So they said.
So they said. Again, I've got to think about this. They said that we could cancel the flight. That's right. We could cancel the flight, and have the.
They couldn't refund the value of the air miles back to us.
No, we could sell the air miles back again, couldn't? No, that's right. No, that's right. We could cancel the flight and they would give us the cost that we had paid out on the flight back, but the air miles wouldn't be refunded.
So they'd refund the new air miles that you bought, the bit that you spent, or would they only refund the bit of the flight?
No, they would refund the amount that we'd paid. Is that right?
No, they'd give us the original air miles, but not refund the new ones that we bought.
So you'd be out of pocket.
So if we cancelled the flight, we would end up with 60,000 air miles on our account. So we wouldn't be able to get the money back on the air miles. We couldn't sell the air miles back to them.
So just to bring that all together, the money that they said they could cancel the flight, but the money that you'd pay to buy the extra air miles you couldn't have back.
No, that's right. So start again. So they said that we could cancel the flight, which would only have been about a cost of £15, but they wouldn't buy back the air miles. So we would have 60,000 air miles sitting on our account, but no flight to Singapore.
And a loss of how much did the air miles cost you?
The air miles were £600. It was £600 for the cost of the air miles.
And that wouldn't be refunded, so you'd have no flight?
No flight. 60,000 air miles on our account, sitting very nicely on our account, but no flight to Singapore.
And £600 out of pocket?
And £600 out of pocket.
So we'll just put all those together. So what did they say that they'd do? So if you can just put all those three into one answer for me.
Right, again, I just need to make sure that we've got this right though, haven't we? Is that the right amount of money?
Yes, yeah.
Because we would have 60,000 air miles on our account.
That's all we would end up with. We would have lost the ticket itself. Nothing would be refunded to the account at all. But we could then go and rebook the flight to Singapore with the 60 or
I suppose it would have been
itself.
the taxes that would have been refunded to us, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So we would have lost.
Yes.
It would have been. We would have lost the £600, but had it in. Yeah. So we would have lost the £600 and had it in air miles instead.
Air miles.
And could you have then booked a free ticket, but then there would still have been all the
But then
taxes
we would have
on
still
top?
had to have paid the taxes on
So
top.
you would have had a much more expensive flight.
Yes. Yeah.
So just for the three things that you called up and the option that they gave you, what was that?
There was only one option that they gave to us, and that was that we could cancel the flight, which would be at a cost of about £15, which wasn't a problem, but they wouldn't refund the air miles, so we would have 60,000 air miles on our account, and we would have obviously lost the money that we'd already paid out as well.
And not had a flight to Singapore?
And no flight to Singapore at all.
Fantastic. So I'm just they said that they will include an opportunity to refund their award tickets and repurchase the seats commercially instead with no penalty. That's what they say that they've offered you to do, but that was when Simon got in touch with them, but you've not had anyone contact you since?
No, the only correspondence we've had is literally the copy of the email that you've got, that you've already been given.
Because this is what you want to do, isn't it? You want the refund of the award ticket
Yes.
and then just buy it at a normal price.
Yes.
Even though you might feel like you should want some compensation, but you just want to buy the normal ticket.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
So what do you want to happen now?
Well, we're hoping to get some sort of refund. All we want is the refund between the £800 that we would have paid and the £1,070 which we have now paid. It's the air miles, if they seem to us, to be honest, to be absolutely of no value whatsoever. So we're not really even worried about the air miles. It's getting the £270 extra per ticket back, which, you know, we think is grossly unfair.
And what are your feelings about Airmiles schemes in general now?
Disillusioned, so disillusioned with the Airmiles scheme because, you know, if companies are advertising these to encourage people to fly with their airline, then surely there should be some benefit to having them, and surely it shouldn't cost me £270 per ticket extra to fly using the air miles. It just seems ridiculous. Why would anybody want to join that scheme?
Exactly. I'll just, so you've not heard from anyone, just check I've got all my questions. I think that's everything from me. Is there anything that I've missed?
No, I thought that was good. The last answer. Disillusion, that was nice.